Recruit in the SS Cavalry. Replacement Battalion in 1942 to 43. I was born on March 26, 1924, in Swinmund, and I attended school. In the summer of 1939, I began a 3-year apprenticeship at Hans Tesk Plumbing, a local company. I must say, however, that I had little enthusiasm for it, for I did not perceive the smell of grout, tar, and molten tin as the joy of my work. Nevertheless, for 3 years I marched into this place with an unfriendly old master and arrogant journeymen and installers. While I was able to carry out my apprenticeship quite professionally, I failed my final theoretical examination with great fanfare. And so I ended my apprenticeship without obtaining my journeyman certificate. This did not bother me particularly, however, for I only saw my apprenticeship as a way to bridge the time until I could fulfill my childhood dream of becoming an active soldier. In 1940, an SS Totenkampf recruit, Standard Regiment, trained on the island of Wallen. I saw the SS men as they marched smartly through the streets and saluted with raised arms instead of lifting a hand to the brim of their cap. That was to my taste, and I decided that it was only the SS for me. The same summer, I took my physical examination and was placed in Replacement Reserve 1 category, after which I volunteered. Approximately 50 young men were examined, and just 8 were accepted into the Waffen-SS. None of the others met the high acceptance standards still in use at the time. There you go, that was something. I was part of it and signed up for 4 years. My father, Wilhelm Schwen, was an unskilled worker. He had delivered beer for the Schultheiss brewery and held railroad ties to the yard of the Rutgers Work AG. It was a wood impregnation company. Its main customers were the German Railroad and the National Post Office. Both had a standing requirement for impregnated wood. The railroad creosote-treated ties for its tracks and the post office, and several energy producers impregnated poles for transmission lines. The factory had a national railroad siding on which timbers to be treated were delivered almost weekly. The timbers were initially piled in a huge storage area and then impregnated in batches. They were transported by special tipper trucks to a 130-foot-long pressure vessel, where they were soaked in creosote and impregnated under pressure. Then they were dried in the storage area. They were shipped out again by rail. My father became ill with tuberculosis in 1940, and afterward he did light duties as a maid of all work for the company. Then in 1941, he joined the Kriegsmarine Navy as a security guard. We were given an official residence and father, a service dog, and pistol. It was my father's dream to see his son strutting through Swinemund in coveralls. The people would stop, point their fingers at me, and call, "Look, it's Wilhelm Schwen's boy." No, this wish was his alone. I took advantage of father coming down with tuberculosis in 1940 to 41 to avoid the obligatory service in the Hitler Youth. Although it was also strictly organized along military lines, I had no interest in it. I said that I had to go to work because my father was ill. First, I was an errand boy in a Zimmermann bakery, and later for the work delicatessen. As there was no future in this, and I was still waiting to be called up, in the summer of 1942, I found myself sitting with my father before the desk of 2 officials in the employment office. I was completely ignored, and they spoke to my father as if he were an inmate in a labor camp, and he lost his temper and objected. The end of the song was that I was asked quite pleasantly if I would like to start as an assistant fitter at the Ostwine Naval Depot. I slaved away there for just a few weeks. For soon my call-up from the Waffen-SS clanked through the letterbox of my parents' home. When the long-desired induction order came, my disappointment was great. They wanted me in the cavalry, me, who wanted to join the tanks or the motorcycles. Though I was terribly disappointed, my father was very excited, for he loved everything about horses and could not imagine the difference between civilian and military riding.